You.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning,
Good
sir.
morning. Good morning, sir.
Yes. How are you all? Hello. How are you all?
Fine, sir.
Fine, sir.
Very fine.
Fine.
Yes.
Fine, sir.
Okay. We shall start with our session. Mute your mic. Saili Patil, mute your mic. Okay. Let us start with C programming concepts, C# programming concepts, and we already seen about these different programming concepts like data types, history, the constants and variables. Let us start with the decision making. We know that we have already seen about the C decision making, and this is again very similar to C decision making. So this is the decision making structure where we can start with the taking the decisions in our programs, and those programs can be used for any processing regarding the calculation, regarding the taking the decision, whether the in the programming languages we need to take the decisions in day-to-day life also. We are taking the decisions, and for these decisions the every language is taken care of decision making, where the C# has also taken the care of decision making. And this is the C# decision making, where the decision making structure requires the programmer to specify or tested by the program along with a statement or statements to be executed if the condition is determined to be true, and optionally other statements to be executed if the condition is determined to be false. So whenever we take the decisions, it will require some writings to take the decision, the statements, along with these statements the conditions should be there, and that condition will be executed. And if the condition will be true or false, so the both sides of conditions will be tested. If the condition will be true, the true part will be get executed. Otherwise, the other statements which will be the else statements, it will be executed if these conditions will be determined to be false. So this is very important thing, whether in the programming language, when we starting to write the program, anywhere, anyway, we have to take the decisions if the number is small or number is large, the greater number, maybe the maximum number, maybe the minimum number in the array. So anyhow, in every language, there is a decision making structures. So for the branching and looping, we have to take the branches to be executed when the C# takes the decisions, and these decisions will be based on the conditions which will be specified in the early level of programs. See, this is the decision making structure. Particularly, this is a particular structure, whether these conditions will be always tested. This is the general form of a typical decision making structure. Most of the programming languages prefer to use these conditions. In this condition, at the right hand side, the white figure shows the first condition where the entry point from the upper side will be given, and the box, which is a kite shaped box, the decision box is given where the condition is specified. And if that condition will be get true, the conditional code will be tested. Whatever the code which can be tested after the condition will be true, then and then the execution of this condition will be true and execution will be done. Later on, if this condition will be true, the condition code will be executed, and then this will goes to the control will goes to the next statements, whether in those statements, maybe the next statements, one statement or multiple statements may be there. This condition will be true in this condition code, which is given in rectangle. This may have many statements, maybe a single statement or maybe the number of statements. Now, if this condition will be get false, then and then if the condition will be false, this conditional code, or when we are going from true block, that will be excluded, and if the condition will be get false, we are coming out of that condition, and particularly the next statement after the condition will be executed. So this is a normal and general form of typical decision making structure. Okay, to the next, we shall try out the C# statement and descriptions. See here, the C# provides the following types of decision making statements. We know that C, C++, and C# provides the same type of decision making statements. So what are those statements? We know that already we have seen this in C and C++. Maybe we are again revising this in C#. The first statement, that is the if statement. If an if statement consists of a Boolean expression followed by one or more statements. So this is a simple if statement. The second statement is if else statement, where the two block of statements will be get executed if it depends on the condition which is a true or false. So with the description, an if statement can be followed by the optional else statement, which executes when the Boolean expression is false. So most of the conditions gives the Boolean expression, Boolean value, whether that condition is true or false. So that Boolean expression will be get executed. So you can say that Boolean expression is true or that Boolean expression is false. That will be depending on the data which is provided from the upper side of that program. So data will be provided from the given statements, and then it will be provided to the if statements. So that data will be tested. That data will give some decision to take the decisions by the programmer. So the programmer takes that decision and he writes or she writes particularly the statements that if that condition is true, the true block of statements will be get executed. Otherwise, the else block of statements will get executed. So else part will be always the false part. That will be a false condition is not true, and then we can get the else part and false statements. Whatever the statement may be, one or number of statements will get executed. The next third is particularly a nested if statement. Nested if statement, we can use one if or else if statement inside another if, we have to write the if, or you can say else if statement inside the another if else statement. So that will be provided in C#. So we know that that has been provided in the C and C++ also. So here you can say it is a nested if else statement. You can say nest is a particularly home, and it is designed and constructed by the number of sparrow, and that we can call it as a nest. So in the nest, a number of things will be considered, that uh, those points and sticks which is collected from the sparrows will be connected to each other, and one stick is connected to another stick. So one outer stick, then inner stick, number of sticks will be get inserted in that nest. So that will be become a particularly the home of any sparrow. Like this, we can use the nested if statement, where we can write the number of statements in one if, or number of statement in part of else. So in else also we can write the number of ifs. So here it is very important to specify that we can write a number of if statement in a single if, that will be called as a nested if. Also we can write number of ifs in the else part, so that is the false part. So maybe it has a number of conditions, so those conditions will be again tested with the conditions which are specified in that particularly if. Okay, so later on we know that in the C language we have seen already about the if else ladder. So ladder is also one of the part of a nested if, the extension of nested if. Ladder and nested if are similar, but only thing is that the ladder may consist of the single ladder in one if, or otherwise in part of else. So it may consist in if part or else part. So if part may be the true block, and else part may be the false block. So if else ladder is also, can be also specified in the if statements. Okay, so that is we can call it as a nested if else statements. The another last statement, which is a branching statement, which is called as a switch statements. We have to specify the switch statement. We have already seen this statement also in first year in C language. Also we have seen this switch statement in second year in C++. This year also in the C# and as well as in Java, these all statements are available. So need not to worry about these all statements, because we are only revising these all statements. So fourth statement is a switch statement. Why this switch statement is designed in C and C# language? We know that a switch statement which is allows a variable to be tested for a quality against a list of values. Now when nested if else statement increases, the program size also increases, and if the program size increases, it is very difficult to tackle with the program. The complexity of the program will be again very important, and complexity again increases. Then the programs which are written in number of languages also increases. The language gives some sort of a difficult and complex execution of the statements. So nested if is very important, but it is very complex, because in many companies like Wipro, like Infosys, like IBM, even Intel, and many other companies like Tata Consultancy Services, their people or programmers prefer to use a switch statement instead of nested if else. Why? Because if the program size increases, we know that maybe any program may contains the 1 lakh lines of statements. So maybe the if statements written, which is where if is started and where it is completed, where it is covered, where it is finishes, it matters with the nested if, and that will give the complexity of that program. So as the program size increases, maybe 10,000 lines, maybe 1 lakh lines in the program, the software gives some the complexity, and we know that the nested if statement will get failure, because the people or programmer may not knows about the upper part of if and else part. It cannot be identified by the programmer, so that they will use the switch statement. So switch statement, where we can allow the variable to be tested with the equality against the list of values. Maybe the switch statement gives the number of statements, maybe, and those number of statements can be executed with the list of values, and these list of values may have the number of constants. Those constants we can define. So expression will be calculated, and on the value of that expression will be matched with the list of values. So that is exactly the working of switch statement. Okay, let us see the first statement, that is the if statement. See here, first is the if statement. We can see here, it is the one of the powerful condition statement. If statement is responsible for modifying the flow of execution of the program. If statement is always used with a condition. The condition is evaluated first before executing any statement inside body of it. So the syntax of the if statement is given here. So what is written in this if statement, which is a simple if statement? We know that this is a very powerful conditional statement. Really, it is a very powerful if statement, because whenever we write the decision, whenever we take the decision inside the programs, we need to write the if statement. So the statement which are responsible for modifying the flow of execution of the program. So those execution will be response with the modifying of the flow of the execution. So execution will depend on that if statement. How the execution or how the flow of program will get happened. So if the statement is always used with a condition, so if statement is always used with the conditions, we have to specify the condition after our if. Now here we have written the if, that is if is a keyword, and we can specify the condition inside the parenthesis. Later on, in this condition, these are two curly brackets, so you can say the brass, the opening brass and closing brass. Here the statements, one statement or multiple statements we can write. Now if this condition will get true, then if statements will be the statements written inside this curly bracket get executed. If this condition is get false, then this will be excluded, and particularly the flow of program or control will move towards the next statements written after the if condition, after this brass, whatever. So that the condition is evaluated first before executing any statement inside the body of it. Okay, so this is a very simple if statement. Okay, next. Next is a if else. We know that very important decision making is a if else statement, and here here we have written the syntax. We know that the if is a keyword, we are using the keyword if and here else. So many, how many keywords, how many reserve words we are using here in C sharp? Anybody can tell me how many keywords or reserve words we can use in C sharp? I think we have shown you the keywords or reserve words. How many keywords we can use in C sharp? Hello? Hello? How many keywords can you identify? How many keywords we can use
32.
in C language? In C language, we know that how many keywords we use? 32. And in C sharp, we know that somebody has written in chat box 50. Yes, it is 50. So if and else are the keywords. Yes, Neelam? Okay, thank you. 50 keywords we can write. It is specified, and those keywords we can call it as keywords or reserve words, and those keywords cannot be used as variables. So those keywords will have a particularly use and particular meaning of that keyword. So that is if and else are the keyword. And the test expression, we can test this expression, that is the condition we can test. If this condition will tested, and if this condition is true, then true block of statements will get executed. So this will move inside this, the if condition, where the condition is true, that will be executed the true block of statement. If the test expression will get false, then and then the else part will be executed, and else part may contains the false block statements. So else will be always the condition which is tested. If that condition is false, and that will be the exceptions. So exceptions will be executed, that is the otherwise, or we can say otherwise. So else part will be executed, that is the false block of statements. Now it may contains one or multiple statements, and then we can come out to the next statements. So if this test expression is true, then true block of statements will be executed. Otherwise, the false block of statement will be executed, and we shall come out. Here, don't write anything on the screen. Okay, so this is the particularly if else part, the flowchart of if else we have shown. Here you can say it may contains the particularly the statements which are at the upper part of the program. It may have the number of given values, and after then the condition will be tested with the given values. and if this condition will be get true, then and then S part, that is S part will it is a true block of statements, so that will be executed code in the if block, that is S part, and after executing of that part, the number of statements, one or more statements, we can come out to the next statements which are written after the condition. Now if this condition is not true, that is a false, then and then we can go from that side, that is the no part. It may contains else block, there may be one or multiple statements, so this may have the else block and it may contains one or more statements. After executing that statements, we can come out to the next statements after the curly bracket. So the statements after this condition will be again executed after that condition. So this is a very important part of our programming. This is a if else, and if else is always very important in our programming because it may contains true block, it may contains false block. So if the condition will be tested, the true block of statements will be get executed, otherwise else part will be get executed. And then we can just see here that is one of the block of statements will be get executed with this condition, true block or false block. Okay, so after later on the statements written after this if statement will be get executed. The flowchart is also shown here. Okay, next, this is the nested if else. This is the nested if else. For example, when a series of decision is required, nested if else is used. Nesting means using one if else construct within another one. So this is very important. So whenever we are writing any answer of any question which can be asked in the examination, here very important that whenever we are writing the example or whenever we are writing about the nested if else, we have to write that is if else construct within another if else. We can write that is the series of decisions will be written inside the if else statements. So this is a, for example, we have given here. So this is very similar in a C language, like a number is equal to 1. If number is less than 10, number is less than 10, then and then again this if is a outer if and this if is a inner if. Okay, so if number is equal to 1, the value is particularly written. So this may contain only one statement, but it is written inside the curly bracket. And this if may have the else part. Else part is the value which is greater than 1. So these values will be written. And again, if has the outer if has another else where the value is greater than 10. If given value is greater than 10, then it is written. It is goes to the else part. So we have not given here the particularly the num value. Num value is not inserted, but num value is declared as a constant value as a 1. And if that number is less than 10, yes, it is less than 10, then and then it will go inside this part of the decision making statement, that is the another if. So if num is equal to 1, whether the num is equal to 1, yes, num is equal to 1, then this value is written here or displayed here. So inside the outer if, another if is declared. and this if, outer if has another else part. Inner if has also else part. Like this, nested if else will get worked. Okay, so this is a very related statements in the C# also. We can write this all the C statements in C#. So moreover, this is a even though this is written in C, but we can apply this in C# also. Next, that is the looping statement, but we can study the looping statement later on also. Okay, we can just stop here. You can start your videos, all of you. You can start your videos. Starting the videos. Audio and video. काही लोकांनी मास्क लावलाय, प्रकृती डॉक्टर आणि पूजा पाटील मास्क लावलाय. कुठे बसलाय?
क्लासमध्ये सर, क्लासमध्ये टायपिंगच्या. टायपिंगचा क्लास लावलाय.
टायपिंगचं मशीन दिसत नाहीये, कॉम्प्युटरच दिसतोय.
आहे की सर?
आहे का?
आहे.
इथंच लावलाय का इस्लामपूरमध्ये?
होय, इस्लामपूरमध्ये.
I think there are 33 students today. Very good. Today the present is very nice that there are 33 students. I will now there are 34 students. Okay, thank you very much. We shall just stop here now.